Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the board game Remember Our Trip. If you'd also like to know how to set up the game, I have a separate video for that. In this one I'll only focus on how to play the game. So let's get to it. You are going to play 12 rounds and then the game is finished. Whoever has the most points wins the game. You get most of your points during the game, and there's a bonus scoring when the game ends. I'll explain that later. So again, you play for 12 rounds, and if you have the most points, you're the winner. You can play this game using this side of the board to play everything for Singapore, or using the other side to play everything for Kyoto. For this tutorial, I'll use Kyoto. The only difference between the two is that Kyoto might be a little more difficult, but the game is exactly the same. I'd like to start by explaining how you get those points during the game. This is the main board. This is your board. And this smaller board shows most of what you need to know for points. Let's have a closer look. Take this blue part, for example. It shows 3 together like this, and 3 like this, and it says 4 points. That means if you make either this shape or this shape on your board using the blue tokens, you get 4 points. You can make the shapes like this, but also like this. These are the blue tokens. Place 3 of them on your own player board to get those 4 points. These green ones show you put 2 together to get 2 points. These pink ones you can make in these shapes and get 6 points for it. You also have this overview for how it works for either these orange pieces or these red pieces. Connect 3 to get 0 points, connect 4 to get 1 point, and so on. So in short, look at this for scoring points. There's more, but this is the first part of it. How do you get these tokens, like this blue one? I'll tell you now by explaining how a round goes. As I've said, there are 12 rounds. You don't need to count them because at the start of each round you flip over one of these cards. There are exactly 12 cards. So when there are no cards left, you know the game is over. This is how a round goes. Step 1. The first player flips over a card and places it open here. Step 2. On this card, it shows the number 3. So, the first player reaches into the bag and takes out 3 tokens and places them here. Then 3 more here. Also 3 on this space. And if you are playing with 3 or 4 people, also put 3 tokens on this space. Because this card says 3, you put 3 of these tokens on each space. Place them face up, like this. This is face down, that comes later. Step 3. Every player can choose one of these to take. So these 3, or these 3, and so on. The first player can choose first, and then you go clockwise round the table. I will choose these 3 and place them next to my own board. Step 4. Now that you've taken these round tokens, you have to place them onto your board, starting with the first player and then the other players. But can you place them anywhere you want? No. Let's look at that card again. This card was flipped over at the start of the round. It showed the number 3. but it also shows this shape. That means you have to place your tokens like this. And I mean exactly like this. Not like this, only this. Some boards have this compass needle on it, and every needle on the board is pointed in the same direction. You must do that. You're not allowed to have your board facing a different direction. Look, the main board points that way, my player board points that way, and this board with the card and tokens on it also points that way. This way the city lines up exactly the same way for every player. Let me do a recap here. 1. Flip over a card. 2. Place tokens here, 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 and here. And if the card says 3, you put 3 on every space. If the card shows a different number, you put that many tokens down. Step 3. Choose one of the spaces and take all the tokens from there. And 4. Place the tokens, but only in the way the card tells you to. So let's have a look at that. I took 3 new tokens, and the card shows 4 squares. Remember, like this, not this. What do I do? How do I place them then? The squares on the card are in a straight line, like this. So I must put my tokens down on the board in that way. So I could do this, 1, 2, 3, and this would count as 4, even though I don't put my tokens there. I've only got 3. Or I could put them like this, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's pretend there was already a token here from a previous round. Can I do this? 1, 2, 3, and then 4 outside the board? No, you can't. That is not allowed. But what is allowed is, for example, this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The point is, these are the spaces that the game gives you, and it's up to you which one of these you use to place your tokens, as long as you put them on the board and not in the water. And there's also a rule for what to do when there's already a token on a space where you want to put the new one. Look that up in the rulebook, please. It's not very complicated. They just become minus points at the end of the game. So again, when you place your tokens, put them in some way like the card tells you to. That is step 1 to 4 in each round so far. Next is step 5. Starting with the first player and going around the table, you have to decide if you want something permanent on your board. You can lock these tokens down, because that is what gives you points. Remember that little board that shows you how to get points? You can make these shapes on your board, but you only get the points when you lock your tokens to the board. You flip them over. That's it. Let's have a look at the blue example then. I just placed this one here. These 2 were already there. And this last one completed it into this shape, because I wanted it like this. Since I just did that, and because it's 3 tokens in this shape, I can say to everyone that I'm going to lock these down. So I flip them over. They are now permanent. I can never remove these tokens from the board. And like my helpful smaller board says, it gives me 4 points. You can take them now. Just move your own disc on the scoreboard. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 points because I just made this blue shape. But you're not done. You could get maybe even more points. This is your own board, and this is the main board. You just made this here. If you look at the main board in these exact same spaces, you can see they are empty. That means you can put one of these bigger blue pieces in that exact same space. These blue ones mean they are a hotel. There is a hotel in Kyoto in this spot, in this shape. So, what do you do at the end of your turn? You look at your own board and compare it to the main board. How many spaces are the same? 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 more points. This is how you score points. First, you make the shape on your own board. When you make it, you flip over the tokens and take as many points as you're supposed to. And then, if the spaces on the main board are empty, you put a big piece on it, and then you get extra points. 1 point for every space that matches your own. You only get those points, though, once. You can't keep doing this every round. So quickly, a round again. 1. Flip over a card. 2. Place tokens on these spaces. 3. Pick one of the spaces and take all the tokens. 4. Place those tokens in the way the card tells you to. 5. If you have now made a particular shape, you can flip over the tokens and make it permanent and get points for the shape. 6. Maybe place a big piece on the main board. And 7. Get 1 point for every spot on the main board that is the same as a spot on your own board. If you only look at the tokens that you just flipped over. You now already have most of the information on how to play this game. We only need to go over some details I can't leave out. First, let's pretend that when you flipped over these tokens, another player beat you to it in a previous turn and put this hotel here. That means you can't put this piece there, because these spaces are already occupied. But that doesn't mean you're not getting points. Just do the same. This is your board. You have just flipped over these tokens and you got 4 points for that. And then you look at the main board to compare. You have blue 1, 2, 3. The board shows a blue 1, 2, nothing. That's still 2 spaces that are the same as yours. Blue here and blue here. So still 2 points for you. And this is how scoring works completely. Look at this for help. Look at the rulebook for help. A next quick and simple detail I can tell you. Your small board tells you you get 2 points when you put 2 green tokens next to each other. Can that be just any green tokens? No, they have to be exactly the same. Like not these 2. This does not give you points. If you want 2 points, you have to do it like this. 2 green tokens with a statue on it. I'm going to wrap it up with telling you about the bonus scoring at the end of the game. It's written on the back of the rulebook so you can easily find it. When the game is over, this is what you get extra points for. 1. Your own board shows 4 spaces with a certain color. If you want bonus points, you have to put a token of the same color on that space. So a green one here, a red one here, and so on. At the end of the game, you look at how many matches you made, and then, as always, you look at your own little board to see how many bonus points you're getting. It's written here. Yes, that does say if you have one match, you still get 1 minus point, so try to make more. 2. All the players look at how many tokens they have in this space. Whenever you can't place a token on your board, you must place it here. The player who has the most tokens on this space gets minus 1 point for every token. Only that player. Other players do not get minus points. 3. The last one. Look at the scoreboard. For the whole game there will be a card here. This card says you get this many bonus points at the end if you meet the requirements that it says on the card. This card says you get these points if you did this. What each card means you can look up in the rulebook. So, bonus points at the end of the game. 4 matching tokens on these colored spaces. Minus points for whoever has the most tokens on this space. And bonus points if you did what this card on the scoreboard is asking for. It's not the easiest game to explain through a tutorial. That means to keep it short and tight, but I still hope you have an idea how this game is played and you're good to go for a first try. There are other items in the box, but that's for an advanced game. Let's start with the normal game first. It's already challenging enough as it is. And I hope you have a good time with it. My next video will be a review on this. Let's see if we have the same opinion on it. Thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.